I'm introducing Mary, so Mary can introduce me. It's one of, this is not the usual kind of gig here. And I've asked the boys, I said, lads, we're in the hospital, so don't bring any drugs in. I think I'm joking. So, Mary, let's go. I met Mary in Peterborough 2004.
2004, yeah.
And you know what, we had a great bit of crack then, and we're going to have a great bit of crack now. So Mary, you get the show on the road.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Walshe. I'm the hospital manager here in Connolly Hospital, and on behalf of myself and the management team, I'd like to welcome you all here to this auspicious event, and we're delighted to be able to host it. As Brush has said, I met Brush back in 2004, and I think it epitomises who and what Brush Shiels is about, because at that time, myself, I'm a very poor singer, I would say, but I was part of a group that recorded a CD with patients and residents with intellectual disability and who had neurological deficits and injuries. And Brush came out to launch the CD back in 2004, and as he said himself, we had a great party. But I think what really speaks about the man was the amount of time that he spent with each individual resident there on the day. And I think that epitomises, and all of you working here who are here today know all about the charitable work that Brush has done over the last few years. Brush came to visit us, so he did, for a little while, and we had the pleasure of his company in the coronary care unit. And needless to say, the first I heard that Brush was in was that someone was ringing me to say he was on the Joe Duffy show, ringing me from the talking that he was in the coronary care unit. But we're glad to see him here today, and we're delighted to see him looking so well. And we're absolutely delighted that he's decided to have the launch here today, and that the patients of Connolly Hospital will benefit from that, from the LP and so on, and we're absolutely thrilled and delighted. And I want to assure you that the funds raised from that will go to go to patient care and go to actually provide equipment to the hospital. On that note, the reason that Brush is obviously has done so well was obviously because of the care from the staff here in the hospital as well. And I suppose speeches will be very short, because I know this is also about the celebration, and it's important to celebrate life. And I'd like to now just ask Dr. Jim O'Neill, who's our consultant cardiologist, one of our consultant cardiologists, to say a few words.
I haven't prepared anything terribly formal except a few comments about Brush. He actually speaks more than I do, which is quite an achievement. In fact, it's hard to get a word in edgeways. The other thing I'll say about Brush is that I'm glad to see he stuck with our plan of actually not major publicity before January. I like that idea. I'm trying to think what January will bring. In fairness, Brush has borne his illness with extraordinary dignity, and he has been very kind, not just to all of us in this wonderful selfless act of donating his CD to us, but just in the way he dealt with other patients and other staff. And it's a kind of a shot in the arm, and we all need it in more ways than one. So I'm very grateful to you for that. I'd just like to thank you just for that. I only work as part of a team, and it is very much a team-based approach we have. I hope everyone realises that. And I won't even begin to say who was involved in Brush's care, which would be here all day, to be honest with you. But just to say that everybody from myself to Mary to everybody, but especially I think it's probably worthy to mention the coronary care team particularly did mind you very well, and I think you got great service in there. And then finally, he'll be very quick to show you his battery for his defibrillator. He's very proud of it, and of course we had to put a very powerful one in there because he uses it, so much at the moment. But that's it. Oh, gotcha.
Brigid Corkery is the clinical nurse manager in the coronary care unit. She'd just like to say a few words, Brigid.
I'm not as good at speaking off the cuff as Dr. O'Neill or Mary Walsh, but anyway, smaller than the rest.
Sorry,
on behalf of Kate and myself and the staff nurses in coronary care, we wish to thank Brush most sincerely for your generosity to our hospital, and I'm sure on behalf of all the cardiac team as well, the multidisciplinary team, includes the doctors, the physiotherapist, social worker, dietitian, cardiac rehabilitation, all those people who we wish to thank you most sincerely. And it was a pleasure to have met Brush. I had never met you before until you came to visit us, as Mary had said. And I was struck by your wisdom, Brush, and your philosophy on life. And also, you're a very charismatic person, and that came across very well and during your stay, and actually you had great impact on patients and on us as well, but also a very good storyteller. And every day Brush would, no matter how busy we were, he'd stop us in our tracks and he'd tell us a little story, and that was our thought for the day. And everybody that met you were very impressed by you, and you had a great impact on us all, and as Dr. Neil said, on patients alike. And you made a difference. For that week you were in the coronary care unit, it was a very unusual week. But it was very quiet and very calm, and we felt that you had added to all of this. And so anyway, we thank you for that. And the other thing I would like to wish you very good health for the future, and wish you and your wife and family a very happy Christmas from us all. And thank you again. It was lovely to have met you.
I'm going to hand over now to a much more able MC than myself. So on that note, I'd like to hand over to Mr. Joe Duffy.
Thanks, Mary, that was brilliant. And you can imagine poor Margaret on Christmas morning up in Dunboyne running around all the shops. Anyone got any batteries? Any batteries? And I said, no, did you buy a new train? I said, no, it's Bren, it's Bren. So we have a great supply of batteries in for Christmas, and he comes with batteries. It's a great honour to be involved in this. So I want to bring up, where's Sean Boylan? Sean Boylan, come up. Is John Kavanagh there as well? Is John here? Good, is John here, yeah? Anyone else that we should be ringing up? These are people who we paid handsomely to speak well of Bren. John, come in. Now, first of all, as Brush revealed, come into the microphone here. The second mic on we have. John, you can go to that one there. Now, you were there. Brush tell the story briefly of, we know Connolly Memorial saved his life recently, but you got in there way ahead. Years and years ago, you saved Brendan's life. Do you want to plead guilty?
Most definitely, yeah, most definitely. God, where do you start? This has been broadcast so many times. It sounds like I'd like to be a big head if I was saying anything about it, but just basically what happened, Bren and I are friends since we were kids, and we were in the first band together. And we used to, as Bren said, we used to herd out stuff from a fella called Dermot Hurley down in Phibsborough. It was very expensive. I think it was about 6 or 8 shillings for the afternoon. We were all broke for the week. Anyway, to make a long story short, there was never any plugs on the amplifiers. But we used to carry them on my I had a little motorbike, and we'd go up to St. Peter's Hall. And we were in plugging in, there was no plugs, as I said, and matches was the favourite in those days. And we put in the matches anyway, and we were rehearsing, they had numbers, and they had the old drums rigged up. And whatever happened, there was a big flash. There was a flash of light. It sounds like the words of a song, Bren, doesn't it? And Bren went up in the air, and the other lads were looking, and the other boys in the band, I think they thought at the time, reflecting on it's 50 years ago, that they thought it was a joke, but I didn't. I knew it wasn't, and I wasn't taking a chance. So I jumped up and banged it, kicked the guitar away from him and the microphone. There was a flash, as I said, and his hands were stuck to the guitar, and I had to kick the guitar away. And I gave him, I didn't actually, he thought it was mouth to mouth resuscitation.
You couldn't miss his mouth. Well, you couldn't find his mouth.
Well, even if I had been needed, I would have done it anyway, so it didn't make any odds. But I had learned this little bit of artificial respiration, as we call it, CPR, whatever you want to call it. And it was a few minutes before he came through, and, but, you know, he was, look, Joe, everybody has said everything's about Bren, but I'm just saying because we're friends for so long, and he is the man. That's all I can say. He's the man.
Fair play. John Kavanagh, well done, John. Fair play. And we've covered every eventuality. We have all the top medics in the country here, over the far side and in the centre. We also have Father Brian Darcy on standby. Come in, Brian. Brian has heard Brush's confession on numerous occasions, and he's none the better of it, you know me. Brian, great to see you. Sean Boylan, you were responsible for, in a good way, for chastising Brush and getting him into Connolly Memorial. Tell us.
I happen to know this man for many, many years. Wasn't well, called up to see him. Terrible cough, dreadful cough. I happened to pull a favour and I rang Professor Burke and so on. The night of the All-Ireland hurling final replay, Conor Burke speaks to him for 20 minutes on the phone, and after 20 minutes he said, "Look, Brush, I've left word for you to be looked after. You're going to be admitted when you come in," and so on. I tell you what, Conor, he said, "I'll leave for a few days. I'll come in when I'm feeling better." So, not that Conor would be busy now or anything like that. And so there was an arrangement for Monday morning, 7 o'clock, for 12 o'clock the next, after that day as well, for 7 o'clock the next morning. And anyhow, when he made up his mind, or when he felt it was ready, and he felt the chest was a lot better for him, he came up here to the hospital. And I suppose within every one of us there's that fear that is there. When Bren happened to use those words, "Listen, I call up and I'm feeling better," it reminded me of when I was a young man and my parents and some of my own peer group. We were always afraid to go to hospital. You were afraid because what might be found out or whatever it was. And little did I know, certainly didn't know, and his brother Mo's down there, certainly Margaret didn't know, and I think more importantly Bren didn't know himself, that when he came up here he was going to enter in to the greatest journey of his life. He's done many, many things. He's travelled the world. Himself and Margaret have shared so many incredible memories, and Matthew and Jude and so on. But the greatest journey of Bren's life, the greatest experience of his life, was being up here. And to everybody concerned, everybody in the cardiac unit and so on, and everybody everywhere, because once you're part of the team here, from the girls who are bringing in the meals and people who are keeping the place clean and tidy and lovely, and the reception at the start when you come in, you feel welcome, you feel warm, you feel you're not, it's not a hospital as such, it's home from home. And Bren, to me, being the chauffeur on that particular day, bring you up here, I learnt a huge amount as well. What I learnt is that you can live with somebody all your life and never really know them. And there was an awful lot about Shiels that I never knew, but more importantly, what goes on really at the coalface in the hospital. What goes on is absolutely immense. And when you see in the times that are in it, and you see where there's all sorts of talks about cutbacks and so on, and there's all sorts of controversy about where new hospitals should be built and so on. I think we all know the answer where the hospital cutback should not take place. We all know where the new hospitals should go, because you'll not be better anywhere in the world than what Brendan and Francis Shield experienced here in James Connolly Hospital. Thank you so much.
Brian, like going back, the thing that struck me doing a bit of research on Brush recently for a libel action we're trying to defend is like from 15-16, this guy had a band together, Phil Linnett, Gary Moore, Noel Bridgman, all the lads. He is, and go back to your Spotlight days. Remember Spotlight magazine? He was there as well. He is a legend.
Brush has been around as long as I have, and that's a long time. God was a man when I first met him. But Brush has been around. He's just been one of those great characters, and I think he's one of the great philosophers of Ireland, and I'm not joking when I say that. I think he is. He's an incredible brain. He's also an incredibly spiritual person. Joe was talking about me here in Brush's confession. It's actually the other way around. Brush hears my confession, especially when the Pope rings me. And I'm a mad fan of any kind of music. But the rock music that Brush was initially involved in wouldn't have been my first love, but Brush actually made it sound so great. I go back far enough to know that Phil Linnett was, God be good to Phil, was in the youth club in O'Dargus when I was a student, and that's when I first knew Phil. Then I came back into the scene, and Brush and the guys were there, and Brush will tell you a lovely story of why Phil Linnett failed the vocalist test for his band at one particular stage. He'll tell you that, I'm sure. It was a great, great story. And then sadly, delightfully filmed across the world and was such a huge success. And then Brush was always here at home and always doing terrifically well, and it was always great at Brush. And then the sad day when Phil died, we got the phone call from Brush when I preached at Phil's funeral. And that's a long time ago. And still around the country, up and down the country. The one thing about Brush is that he actually unites all kinds of music. There was a tendency, because I was chaplain to all the things, but there was a big tendency to have a division between the real pop music and the country band. It doesn't matter where you go in Ireland, Brush is popular, because he's just that kind of guy. He's a phenomenal guy, and every time you meet him and every time you talk to him, you come away from Brush feeling better about yourself and confused about the world.
The next segment of the... there's two segments to the afternoon. One, Brush is going to launch in a few minutes his album Dedicated, and the funds go to Connolly Hospital. But when I was up here visiting, I happened to bring a card for himself, and some of the nurses saw it. And then when he got out, he said to me, they've a little gallery downstairs in one of the corridors, and when I do a painting, I am an amateur, painting my numbers, thingamajig, and I said, Brush, well, what will I do? And he said, do something I love and admire and embrace. So I presumed as I left he was talking about cows in the field or donkeys on Maggie's farm. So I went off for a while, and then it struck me, I said, hang on a minute. To paint something that he loves and admires and adores and looks at from... So I painted something, and Brush, come over here and unveil it. And the good news is, if you like it, we have copies, prints of it here, and there's one for everyone in the audience. Okay, so this is what Brush is leaving in the hospital, and... Do you want to have a go? Do you want to?
The curtains are open.
It's open. He's never pulled a pair of curtains in his life, by the way. You just pull that, I'm told. Take your time, and it'll hang forevermore. This beautiful landscape of something you deeply love and admire. It will hang forevermore in Connolly Hospital. Go ahead and unveil it. It's Brush Shiels. Now, people might think this is hard to do. It's not. Just put a blackberry on an egg, and you're halfway there, right? He was ahead of his time. He wore a blackberry before any of us had blackberries. A Brush with Life is the title of the album, and then what I tried to do around here is put names in, because the thing I felt could never be captured by an amateur artist. Real artists can do portraits and they capture the story of the person in the face. I could never capture that. So what I decided to do is I went out and had a long chat with him, and then I picked out names afterwards and little events and put them around. So they tell this kind of life story from the real Skid Row to Off Your Brush on television, to people like Gary and Phil, who are no longer with us, and his brothers and his family, the Dublin Outlaws. John Kavanagh gets a look in, old pal, 198 Fisborough Road, where he bought. So anyway, Brush, I want you to present this to the hospital. Mary, are you going to take it? Where will it's a question a lot of people have asked over the years. One, who said Brush Shiels is no oil painting? And second, the question we've all asked, where are we going to hang Brush Shiels? Mary, where will you hang them?
We'll put this on the corridor heading down towards the cardiology department, so that it will, every time you walk down to visit us, well, not too often, we hope, you'll certainly pass it on the way. Thank you very much.
Okay, thanks indeed, Mary. Now, the second part of the afternoon is with the maestro himself. Ladies and gentlemen, on the day that Serview came into the world, Serview was launched on October, what date, Bren? October 24th. 2012. Brendan Francis Shiels also came into the world on that same day, but it was a long time ago. I don't even think we had black and white radio in those days. It was so long ago. But anyway, he's with us. He's such a part of all our lives. We're here to honour him today. The showman takes over now. The philosopher, the daddy, the friend, the mate, or whatever, is all there. So many levels, like like this wonderful hospital. But ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Brendan Francis Brush Shiels.
So, the first thing I'm going to do is put this mic back here. Now, as you know, James Joyce said that art is the human disposition of sensible or intelligible matter for an aesthetic ending. Now, I'm just dedicating this to all the dilettantes who are purporting to bulk here today. The last thing we want to do is to use words that nobody understands. If I wasn't a musician, I'd love to be in the shop steward. But then you go down to the canteen and nobody knows what you're talking about. You know, the cheese is great, but I haven't a clue what he's talking about. You know? So here I am, much pilloried pilgrim with a plethora of platitudes. I think that my panache is a panacea for all my pains and problems. I have a quaint quality of quips that help on my quest for quintessence. But I like to engender an empathy with the easier elements in existence. And sometimes I coexist in a climate of convenience. And sometimes I have to be waffling and nobody knows because they think I'm more intelligent than they are. So I'm going to play the guitar here. And as you said to Brian, like, if we're going to a wedding and you start singing Joe Dolan numbers, I'm going to sing Panis and Jelly Ghost. Time to miracles. When the boys, the priests sing Joe Dolan numbers, I always sing something in Latin. It's more interesting. So anyway, the reason this happened today is Joe Duffy. That's the reason it happened today. If I'd have turned up there without Joe, there'd be twice as many people, but you wouldn't know what I was talking about. So the only thing I'm missing today is an argument, and myself and Joe trying to get something going. But it's very important that somebody gets clamped here. And links Joe tomorrow. We want to make it worth our while. Joe will keep it going for 3 or 4 days. Forget about Brush and his bleeding implantable cardio defibrillator. Got clamped, did you? Anyway, there was 2 ways we could have done this. I was going to start a band called Brush on the Beta Blockers. And the first single was going to be See You Later, Defibrillator. I was going to come back to the gym and say, you know. I said the problem with what I'm doing now, Joe, is that I'm making an account sound like Tony Christie. People would much prefer, like, if I'm making the gobshite, because I think I am one, you know. And then there's the other guy, he's like, he's not just an ordinary gobshite, that guy. Brigid was explaining to me why I was hallucinating, you know. I said, look, I'm just like this all the time, Brigid. What it said on the box, like, when you're taking those tablets, like antibiotics, I had that before I took the antibiotics. But Brigid says to me, no, what happened was the oxygen didn't get to your brain. And Margaret says, the bleeding actually couldn't find his brain. If I got a guitar, but anyway, I'm going to sing this song. I could have sang a song about a tractor, but I don't think it's not really a song. Yeah, but it could happen, but I don't know. But anyway, when I woke up in the hospital, like, I never actually went to sleep, if you know what I mean, but you wake up, but you haven't been asleep. And every time I looked up, I seen this tarred and squealy bin, you know. Jesus, you know. I was looking at tarred and squealy bin, like, here I am. I thought it'd be a statue of the blessed, you know, like somebody anyway. You know that bleeding heart thing, like, with a lit light on it and the picture of John F. Kennedy beside on one side. I'm one of them looking at tarred and squealy bin. That's all I can say. That's got nothing to do with anything. I'd like to dedicate this song to everybody I know, but I haven't got time to mention their names. But people say to me, how do you remember people's names? There's two ways of doing it. You can believe that they owe you money. I'm surprised there. But anyway, when I arrived, the first person I met was Connolly. I told him, I'm not even taking my boots off, Connor, I'm going home. Right? He says, I'll take you, I want to go to the medical assessment unit. First person I met there was Jennifer. Then I met Mariah. Then I met Roger. Then I met Eamon. Then I met Darrell Flynn. Then they got me out there and I went down. I can name everybody one after the other. So then I met Brigid, and then I met Kate, then I met Sheila, and I can keep going. Then I met this guy come over to me, Peter. He says, I'm an intern. I said, nice to meet you. He said, Bush, what do you do? I said, where are you from? He said, from Scotland. I said, ask anybody in Scotland what I do. Okay. Anyway, like everybody needs a little bit of humility in that life, you know? So here I am. I says, you know, I played 82,000 people in Corkery 2 times, international roads on my own. I took them to the Fillmore West and played with Frank Sabbath and Mothers of Invasion with Gary Moore and all, which were some of the greatest guys you ever met. At half Boylan I had the plane, he came on me honeymoon with Margaret and myself. I signed for Bows when I was 17. And I've done all these great things. But the 2 weeks I spent in the coroner unit downstairs, I learned more than I learned in all the years that went before that. And the first thing I learned was, what name of Jesus am I doing here? You know? Then you figure out what that is, and you take it from there then. So here's a little song dedicated to all the doctors, all the nurses, all the carers, not just in this hospital, but in every hospital in Ireland. And it's a track from this new album. And the album is called A Brush with Life, and the reason it's called that is when Mick Heaney reviewed Joe's conversation with myself when I'm in bed on beta blockers, and I'm sitting up very close to where I was never before. He called it A Brush with Death. Joe decided we call it A Brush with Life. So this song is for all the doctors, nurses and carers. So they need to sit down when I stand up, Jude.
I think you better sit down, maybe.
But I'm singing this, I'd like somebody to come over and pull me shirt down so you can see that. And obviously Jim has never watched Live at 3 to see how they're doing the knitting and some of the stitching. But it still looks good because it's rock and roll.
Sit down there, Dad. Let's set this up for you.
So anyway, just before I do this, Jim decided not to give me an anti, what do you call them?
Anesthetic.
No, what's the other thing? Well, if you're going to anesthetic, yeah. He says if you only waste on your brush, like I don't think it'll knock you out. So we had this conversation where he was sort of telling me like there's one word goes in there, but I was still awake, like he was doing the whole thing. And then suddenly he says, "Gosh, it's not hard for you. Bye bye, Miss American Pie. It's 8.5 minutes long." I said, Jesus, Jim, I'm hallucinating now. Jim, I took my Chevy to the levee, but the levee ran dry, you know. So we had this conversation, which I thought was fairly interesting. It should be on YouTube. But unfortunately, we'd no one there with us at the time, so we'll dedicate this to all the Elvis fans here, because if Elvis had one of these, he'd be still alive. And the grand thing is that some of the boys learned their stuff in Memphis, Tennessee, and it's called a St. Jude Medical. So this thing I have in here, that's what it's called. So if I go down, that kicks in, and I come back up again. Anyway, this one is, I don't, you know, I'm lucky enough that I know a little bit about the Bible, I know a little bit about the Quran, I know a little bit about the Torah, I know a little bit about the Bhagavad Gita, I know a little bit about Zen Buddhism, and I know none of them work in the bank, I'm not just now. Well, this is true, because there's a couple of Christians here today and I want to cock them up. I've never met a Christian that could recite the first commandment out of the Bible verbatim, you know. I want you to think about that. So when Katie Taylor's boxing, she's not saying, I'm a jealous Lord, I've come to inflict the iniquities. You know, that's other stuff. She's more into the other stuff. But anyway, I came to the conclusion at one time that the most important thing in the Bible was when Jesus was up on the cross and he was completely lost. I said, that's why we all are there. So that's called doctors, nurses and carers, but it's for anybody who's been completely lost at some stage. Lost on the cross, crying out in our pain. Why hast thou forsaken me? We ask in the name. And when nobody answers and pain is all around, sometimes you're born to wear thorns for a crown. But we all love you, and we will never let you down. I've seen your scar drying out on the line, waiting, fears playing on your mind. We lie awake, leaving empty words unsaid. Wishing I could keep you here, and I could go instead. Thank you, doctors, nurses and carers, all those of you who believe in and share with us. Lend helping hands, counsel and console. You are there on all our bad days, taking care of us in so many sad ways, as we head down into the dark night of the soul. But we get lost on the cross, crying out in our pain. Why hast thou forsaken me? We ask in the name. When nobody answers and pain is all around, sometimes you're born to wear tongues for a crown. But we all love you, and we will never let you down. When your world is broken, full of heartache and doubt, and no words that are spoken can explain what this pain is all about, remember true friends and loved ones who would do anything for you, and it's their love that's going to help you see this through. Thank you, doctors, nurses and carers, all those of you who believe in and share with us. Lend helping hands, counsel and console. You were there on all our bad days, taking care of us in so many sad ways, as we head down into the dark night of the soul. When we get lost on the cross, crying out in our pain. Why hast thou forsaken me? We ask in the name. And when nobody answers and pain is all around, sometimes you're wrong to wear thorns for a crown. But we all love you, we will never let you down. Thank God. So there's no fear of Baton Rouge today, no whiskey of the I just want to thank Joe Duffy, because anybody knows anything about hospitals knows Joe's right behind you all the time. And for everybody in Connolly, thank you very much for helping me out. I had a great time when I was here. I learned a lot. I'd love to come back and see you again and meet you out in the car park.
Rushes all over the years. I'd like to thank everyone who said such kind words here today in relation to the staff. As we've said, it is difficult times in healthcare, but we actually aspire to actually still ensuring that we provide a quality service to our patients, and that's what we all came into work in healthcare. That's what we all started and joined the health service for. So I'd like to thank Brush and everyone who participated today for all your kind words, and please, it's great to see you. I'm sure you'll meet all your friends and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd just like to say to Paul already, Jen already, I'm not ready. Come on, Joe.
Well, Eamon, where's Eamon, your manager? Where's Eamon?
He's there. He's not my manager, he's my representative on there. If I had a croak in the Connolly ward, he'd be cleaning up at the moment.
Eamon, come in with Brendan, explain about the CD and where it's available.
We want to thank all the O'Reillys from Dublin. That's Paul and Jenny and Michael. Yeah, go ahead, Eamon.
First of all, for all those people, my name is Eamon Fitzpatrick. I've been looking after Brush for probably 18, 19 years. And it has been an experience, I can tell you that categorically. It has been an experience. He's been around the world many, many times. But I must say, this is the only gig that he really enjoyed and speaks about, is his time here in Connolly Memorial. So it's a great accolade for the hospital. He speaks very, very kindly of it, and thank you very much for looking after him so well. And hopefully we'll get another turn out of him in the new year. We hope. Paul Riley, I can bring Paul up. Paul is over Dolphin Records. and they graciously manufactured the product free of charge for the first 500 copies, and Paul will tell us where they'll be available.
Well, hopefully they'll be available from Goal and Distant HMV from Monday or Tuesday next week. So I'll go out and buy one. It's only €10, guys. All right? See you.
Okay. Just to let you know that copies of the CD are on sale here, and Bernie's looking after that, I do believe. On the left, just to the right of the stage, looking up. So I think, Joe, is there anything else that we need to address? Just a cup of tea and refreshments are in the room directly behind the stage. So have a nice evening, and thank you very much for those that have made such a long journey from Killarney to Ballinamore to Dublin and to Cork to Kent, especially to honour. And also for our good friend Dermot, who came from Coleraine in the north, led the pilgrimage. Thank you, Dermot.